Oh, so this is Gregg Braden. He wrote a book called Learning to Speak the Lost Language of God, which I think was a really interesting book. And so what's interesting about Gregg Braden is that back in the day, he used to work in the defense industry. And so back in the 1980s, when Ronald Reagan was in office, he worked on the MX missile system, which was an underground ICBM missile that was in silos that had, I think it was 25 MIRVs on it, which are basically multiple reentry vehicles. So the missile would go up, and it basically had like 25 individual nuclear missiles that could be launched at individual cities. And so, like, these missiles were so powerful, and after all that, working on these weapons of mega death, he kind of decided he wanted to do something a little more beneficial to humanity than building, nuclear missiles that could annihilate the planet. And so, this particular video is actually, why don't we just play the video? Because he's talking about climate change. Because climate change, when you look at the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and the rest of those fucking clueless morons, that just think they're going to totally reorganize human society globally based upon their ideas, their delusions. I mean, Klaus Schwab is a professor. He's not a competent man. He hasn't built fucking anything other than, the WEF. He's never built a business. He's not an entrepreneur. He's just a fucking scumbag, evil, evil jerk. And so climate change is just, it's always changing. And, they're always like Bill Gates, is one of his asshole buddies, and they're like, climate change is the greatest threat to humanity. And I mean, at the end of the day, in the West, if we went to net zero, it wouldn't matter because China is every year is dumping more and more shit in the atmosphere.
Well, that also presupposes that carbon is the leading force of climate change, which is like it makes up
carbon dioxide, which is really
like it's 0.04% of our whole atmosphere.
Yeah.
If you think that is our driver of climate, you're retarded. Like it's just not like that minuscule
it's
thing.
It's not true. But the whole reason why they push the climate change as an existential threat is because they want us to give our sovereignty to like the World WHO, because then they can declare climate lockdowns.
Yeah, we're the carbon.
We can't be driving around or flying planes. We need to reduce our industry and our carbon footprint because we're destroying the planet. That's part of what 15-minute cities are all about, that you won't need a car because everything you'll need will be within 15 minutes away. And it's really just to get total control of society so they can make human beings live the way they want. They can inject them with the things that they want. They can reduce the population. I mean, all those guys believe that human population, the planet's overpopulated. And so anything that reduces human population keeps people from breeding. That's why they're so heavily invested in the trans movement. Is you put people on, those hormone drugs, that's, the puberty blockers, which those are the drugs that they use to chemically castrate people that were abusing kids. And so they're basically sterilizing, humans to keep them from breeding. And so that's why guys like Bill Gates and the World Economic Forum are all for the trans movement, is because that helps to achieve their goals of reducing human population, is by getting as many people on puberty blockers as possible so they don't breed new humans.
Another example, I'm going to use climate change as a geologist. I'm very passionate about this.
You believe in it?
Climate change is a fact. I've been talking about it since I've been talking about it since 1979. It's also a fact that humans are not causing it.
Oh,
humans are not causing it, and the real scientists know this. It's not the cows. I'll tell you.
Bill Gates is the cow farm.
NASA knows that over 90% of the CO2. There is an increase in CO2. It's just I made a statement.
Also, Mars is heating up too, and the other planets.
Yeah, the whole solar system is.
Is there more CO2?
And I'd rather be hotter than colder, to be honest.
20, 50, 100 years ago.
The sun's that's the thing. The climate always changes.
No. Is it the most we've ever had? We're right about 440 parts per million right now. In geologic history, we're looking Cretaceous over 1,000, or the Jurassic over 1,000 parts per million, Triassic 2,000 parts per million. The Earth was lush, the Earth was green, life was abundant during that time. And what we see in geologic history, this is fascinating to me, there are times when CO2 levels are high and the temperatures are low, and times when just the opposite is happening. It's not necessarily a one-to-one correlation. Where's CO2 coming from? NASA knows. I've got a bunch of videos on this. Over 90% of the CO2 is coming from the oceans.
Oh,
Warming.
imagine
Warm
that.
water holds less gas. Here's the
I
kicker.
can't believe Bill Gates
The
would lie to
oceans
us.
are warming from underneath, not from the top. If it's
Klaus
from the
Schwab lied to
CO2 on
us.
the top,
I can't believe this.
the warming of the air, it would be coming from the top. It's warming. The glaciers are melting from underneath. The CO2 is coming. And the oceans are warming from underneath from tectonic processes that happen about every 12,500 years that people just don't want to talk about. It is a tectonic process that begins in the core, translates perturbations into the mantle, into the crust, the weak areas of the crust. You see more tectonic activity, more volcanic activity. It was exactly what we were seeing.
That's actually terrifying because Randall Carlson talks about that 12,500 year destruction cycle too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening. That's just the Earth moving. Like our
Earth changes,
if
yeah.
you look at our pole, like the magnetic
Well,
pole
we're in
is shifting.
Florida. This all used to be underwater, and at some point it'll be underwater again. I mean, when I lived in Pompano, we used to dig down about 3 or 4 feet in our backyard, and there'd be all kinds of shells and stuff there. Because again, that was part of the ocean, and at some point it will be again. And as he said, humans are not fucking causing this. The planet is always changing. But the elite hijack that. It's like John Kerry, all these idiots. It's existential. We gotta stop the cow farts. They just want power and control over everything.
Yeah, and they demonize like cows and stuff when that's so good for. Oh, you got to eat this soy. Look, this is like good for the environment food, and it's just fucking soybean, just slop, literally just canola oil or this terrible shit for you. It's like, oh, farming's too intensive, so we made this lab grown meat for you now. It's like, fuck off. I hate those people.
I think lab grown meat could be cool, but if Bill Gates is involved in it, I wouldn't want anything to do with it.
But actual meat is just so good for you. It's just not.
Well, it's not nice to the animals. But again, the people that are involved in growing it are nuts. So I wouldn't trust any of that shit. I wouldn't trust Bill Gates as far as I could throw him and his man boobs.
I was watching these videos and it's saying what age can you give your baby like meat? And I saw this one video and it was like the 6 month old and it's just like gnawing on this like gumming like this ribeye and it was so funny. But you can get like the packets and stuff that have like beef, like the iron and stuff with carrots and stuff like blended because it's supposed to be really good for them. The red meat. Not like all the time, of course, but it's good to start them early.